And multilateral trade finance institution Afrexim Bank is on a mission to transform the African aviation sector infrastructure in collaboration with Russia Export Center. The team was on a roadshow to Lagos where the bank's group head of client relations, Mr. Rene Awambek, explains the basis of the initiative to Channel's television business producer Temple Ashaju.
One of the strategic objectives of the African Export-Import Bank is to finance intra-African trade and to promote trade also with the outside world. The level of trade, Africa's percentage of global trade today is only 3%. And intra-African trade today is somewhere between 15 and 18%, depending on who measures it. For us to grow that amount of trade, we need to provide infrastructure that facilitates the movements of goods and services. One of the key areas that we as an institution have decided to work on is on the aviation sector by developing airports, airport infrastructure, and providing the necessary aircrafts for national carriers or private carriers to be able to move goods and services across the continent. So in this light, the African Export-Import Bank went into a strategic partnership with the Russian Export Center. The Russian Export Center is like the Export-Import Bank of the Federation of Russia. They provide the financing and they promote the development of Russian aircraft. It represents a good solution for regional transportation within the continent. That is why, in partnership with the Russian Export Center, we've put together a scheme to support national airlines and domestic or regional airlines that want to procure these aircrafts, either through leasing or either through asset-based financing to acquire these aircrafts.
So what difference does this offer in terms of leasing or taking aircrafts on lease in the Nigerian aviation industry, for example?
So as you have seen in yourself, the aircraft itself has a capacity of 100 seats. This is the business version of the aircraft, but the commercial aircraft has a capacity of 100 seats. The aircraft is more fuel efficient. The aircraft is more ecologically friendly. The aircraft has been developed based on modern and new technology. I think you've had an opportunity to be in the cockpit. These aircrafts can fly for up to 4,500 miles, which is about 6-7 hours of flight. Yesterday we flew for 5 hours, 40 minutes on this flight from East Africa to go to the north of West Africa. In terms of financing options, it's a unique offer we're making to the Nigerian market because we bring together not only the product, but some financing solutions to accompany this product. So we're looking at the leasing options or we're looking at the asset-based options. We have already entered some negotiations with some private investors in Nigeria who would like to acquire and operate these aircrafts.
The AFCTA was an initiative signed onto by a lot of African countries, more than 40 countries, but Nigeria actually didn't sign that agreement. How does this roadshow, this initiative of Afrexim Bank, concern Nigeria?
So the Continental Free Trade Agreement that was signed in Kigali last month, we are a principal partner to this agreement. What the basic framework is, the free movement of goods and services across the African continent. We are a facilitator. We were in Kigali. We've made a commitment to the business industry to provide over $25 billion over the next 5 years to support intra-African trade. And one of the ways to support intra-African trade is to support the development of trade-related infrastructure. So we are going to be seen more in developing things like airports, in developing things like railways, in developing things like seaports, which will facilitate trade. We're also going to be seen in promoting things like aviation. That's why we are doing this roadshow with the Russians, so that we can facilitate the easy movement of goods and the easy movement of people on the continent. So we see ourselves like an agent for implementation of the CFTA. So notwithstanding Nigeria signing CFTA today, you still need to move goods and services from Port Harcourt to Lagos, from Lagos to Kaduna, from Kaduna to Abuja. So there is still domestic trade and there is still regional trade. Okay? And with time, we believe that everything will be equal.
The Nigeria Export-Import Bank is actually a member of Afrexim Bank, and it came up with an initiative a few years ago, which is Sea-Link, in order to link the maritime space and Africa together. Does the aviation scheme right now displace that Sea-Link initiative?
No, not at all. We're still working on the Sea-Link project. This is a different initiative from the Sea-Link. The Sea-Link is a laudable initiative to also facilitate the movement of goods and services on the maritime network.
So what kind
And finally, in Namibia, the government has scrapped a clause in a bill that proposes all businesses be at least a quarter owned by racially disadvantaged people. The president says the 25% equity stake will not translate into broad-based empowerment and is done away with. And that's it on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimezi Obi Iwago.